Yo, what is the business division agent? This is your boy Trey Day 381 coming at you with another Division 2 video. This go around, I wanted to do something just a little bit different. This is for you new players that are coming in and those that haven't been in for a while and really didn't know how to make a build video. I'm gonna bring y'all to the lab with me, let you know exactly how you should approach making a build and understanding the concept of what makes a build like the meta. I think meta means like most effective tactical advantage, and why those things are exactly what they are and why people are using them. This is my girl Anaya. You should come over here and actually go through and inspect exactly what you can and cannot craft. Know your gear sets, know your material requirements, which brand sets and gear sets you can craft together is very important. Wanting to go into the open world, hit your targeted loot, and take full advantage of that. Like if you want to run a Heartbreaker build set, you could go to bank headquarters just by looking at the targeted loot. Uh, this area right here is Fenris, so you can do a couple of control points on heroic just to get that maximized thing. Um, But the whole point of this video is I'm gonna try my best to make it short, but I'm gonna try to make it very informative. So as you can see, as you will see, I'm running a four-piece Heartbreaker with the backpack and the chest piece with the Coyote's mask. I'm running the St. Elmo's engine, and I'm running it with the sniper class. Now you're wondering, how are you going to get, the Heartbreaker gear set to proc based off of that? Well, the Heartbreaker works off
Hey,
of you pulse the
looking for
enemy
something
when you get a
special?
headshot. That's when you get your armor and stacks built up. And the beauty of it is that if you run it with, like, say, the sniper class, you can seriously just put on I forget what is the name of this, the tactician drone, right? And the beauty about this drone is it pulses the enemies. And it's not like a long pulse like the scanner pulse and all that good stuff. You just pull it out and boom, there it is, right? You can put it down, it'll go to that little spot, get up, and it'll pulse the enemies, right? But the way I run it, believe it or not, even if you don't put it down and let it hover over you, it'll still pulse the enemies. Those pulse enemies, bam, get your bonus armor. You don't have to get a headshot because they're pulsed. Now, with that in mind, knowing that if you just have it hovering over you, that's when you get into how can you take advantage of that. Like most people don't run the Heartbreaker just because it's limited to, the pulse in itself, which in my opinion, it was in the beginning something that really aggravated me because I usually ran it with the technician class just because it came with a link laser pointer. If you don't know, the link laser pointer is a laser pointer that pulses enemies that you aim at, but it's limited to the gun that you can use. They have to have that long underbarrel in order to use it. So you were limited to the Carbine 7, the AKM, or the TKB, or the King Breaker, or your SMGs, which I'm not gonna lie, I love this SMG. Not just the Dark Winter, but that class SMG in itself. You can put the link laser pointer on it, the Vector SBR 45, the Carbine 7, King Breaker, the Police M4. These are the ones that you can run with this. But if you run it with the sniper class, if you're trying to
Anything I
make a
can do for
build,
you?
how do you take advantage of the fact that you can have a drone hovering over you, right? You know, I use it. I use that to get the Heartbreaker gear set proc. But if you want to run something, similar to that, and you want to take advantage of something like, let's go with, here we go. Let's go with companion, right? You want to run a companion build with spotter. You put together your spotter companion build. Let's see. Let's go. I don't like really using the fox prayers, but now, bam, I got my spotter companion build, right? All right, how do I take advantage of the fact that companion, the way it works, and this has always been one of my favorite backpack pieces because it says while you are within 5 meters of an ally or skill, you get a 15% weapon damage. Unlike vigilance, where it's like if you don't take damage, you get a 25% amplified damage. Well, in this one, it's not really contingent on me getting hit. Plus I got my spotter, which gives me that 15%. So overall, once I throw out my, you know, tac, my tac drone, you can see on my hood I have the companion, you know, backpack talent proc, and because they're pulse, I got the spotter proc. Now I'm not limited to a gun. I can run it with the Eagle Bearer if I want to. I can run it with any gun. Like the one of my favorite guns in the game is the Chameleon. I can run it with the Chameleon, and it does a crap ton of damage in that way. But just because the companion and the spotter combined, there's an insane amount of damage, and it's not limited to me being shot. It's not, the weapon damage doesn't go away just because I'm hit. It goes away based on that drone floating over my head because it's within 5 meters. I don't have to send it out. Yeah, it can be bothersome to see that thing floating around as you're looking around, but at the same time, I am still doing, a ton of damage. If you want to, you can have spotter companion if you want to run it with four-piece strikers, which I know a lot of people are getting strikers burnt out, but it means strikers in itself is still a really, really good, PVE gear set. I'm not gonna say it's not a bad PvP gear set, but it's not ideal. Get your stacks built up, without the chest piece, you're limited to, the 50% weapon damage, I believe. Or 50 stacks that you get built up versus the 100 or 200 or whatever it is. 100 times 0.65, I believe, is the thing. Yeah, 0.65 at 100 stacks. So, 65% weapon damage is what you get. Versus the 200% if you run the backpack and the chest piece. It didn't make a difference. It's still 65% weapon damage. Getting stacked up. Look at that. Boom. It's, with the companion, you add that additional 30%. So now you're at 95% weapon damage. And I'm hitting that, 728 with three blues. I don't have anything in here. I could definitely get that crit chance up, but look at the crit chances at 58%. I can get the crit damage up if I put two 12% mods here, which I do have in my backpack. I just don't want to change it because I'm using this to show you all why on earth do I have these repair skills there. That's terrible. See, I got a bunch of 12% mods because I run control points. Control points really do get you up there, believe it or not, with the mods. Or you can come out here and, like I said, swap your gun. One of my favorite guns is the Chameleon, just because that adaptive instinct, the PvE. In PvP, the Chameleon is horrible, but you get spotter proc. I got max striker buffs right now, and then adaptive instinct kicked in. I get that 50% weapon damage, that 90% 50% crit chance damage, or critical hit damage, and then I get that 90% weapon damage. So boom, I'm hitting like close to a million each time, like a 1.04 million on that one, 1.05. But as you can see, that's that gun, and that's that build. But when you're going in, I need you to understand that when you're making the build, you have to look at it and say, what am I looking for? what do I want to do? Do I want to do max DPS while I'm in a group? Do I want to run it solo? What backpack and chest piece talent is going to be most beneficial for what I want to do? Do I want to run skill? Me personally, I'm not a skill user, and I'm not knocking people who use skills in PvE because once again, like if you ever been into a legendary and seen somebody use the biomask with whatever that Eclipse protocol is, they can wipe the entire stage by themselves just by setting somebody on fire, and that's immaculate in PvE. In PvE, it's crazy, but in PvP, it's annoying as crap because they're not allowing the other team to have the ability to uh, be competitive, and that's the whole point of PvP. Is you want to say you're the best because you went up against the best in a competitive manner. If you're not allowing them to shoot, then you're not getting what you want. You're just, fluffing your stats. And for those that like to do that, it is what it is. That's on you. Uh, but when coming into situations like being a starting player, you already reached level 40 and you want to know what's the best that you can do in here. If you want to run control points, submissions, or whatnot, if you want to run the legendaries, if you want to run the incursion, if you want to run the raid, you have to know when you're going into these situations how can you contribute to the group or how can you contribute to doing these things yourself. So you go in and you start collecting material like Hunter's Fury, looking at it and going, what is its talent? You get the shotgun SMG with the two piece, three piece, you get armor on kill, help on kill, four piece, you get the Apex Predator the Apex Predator talent procced on this gear set, and it's like enemies within 15 meters, you get an amplified 20% weapon damage, right? And then upon kill, anybody within a 5 meter radius, they get the disorient, right? And then for this one, the weapon damage is amplified by 5% for 10 seconds, and it stacks up to 5 times. So depending on how many people are around you, how many kills you get, you're looking at an additional 25% weapon damage, which is a really great talent. I got a friend, his name is Ace. He has been playing this game since I have. He stepped away for a little bit, but that is still his build. And when you see him, he is always running the Hunter's Fury build with the Scorpio, and he's still doing massive damage. Uh, if you want to be a tank build, does the Foundry Bulwark work out for you? The Umbra Initiative, you know, knowing how these gear sets and brand sets work is a huge thing. When you're looking at damage wise, what do I want to do? Do I want to run vigilance? Can I stay, behind cover and get my shots? Can I get the surprise shots off on the NPCs or the players before they recognize that I'm shooting them? Can I get that burst damage? When you're running it solo, unstoppable force. Killing an enemy increase your weapon damage by 5%. For 15 seconds. Now, honestly, that is a really, really good talent for a solo player running control points because that is a 35% weapon damage increase just by killing NPCs. And depending on which gear set or brand set you're running with and the chest piece, that is immaculate. Like if you run that with the spotter, you're looking at a uh, what is that? 50% weapon damage increase because it's 35 plus 15. You know, that is amazing. And then if you're running it with flatline, flatline gives you an additional 15%. Right off the back, that is 65% weapon damage buff. Like crazy damage you get just based on that alone. Now, that is a PvE thing. Remember, in PvE, you have the ability to get these talents, to activate and to prop right off the back. In PvP, on the other hand, you have to remember some of these talents require you to get a kill. It's not an upfront thing. Sometimes it is a what I like to call uh what is it? I can't remember how I said it. I think it's like after the fact or on the back end is what I call it. That is back end damage sometimes. Like the unstoppable force is a back end damage because you only get the buff after the kill, so it's on the back end. In PvP, Back end is not good because you're running against players that are getting all their damage right off the back. They're getting buffs from future initiatives because they're running in a four-man group and somebody's healing, and then they're running with spotter and they're pulsing and they're getting something like what is it? The wicked, because they're getting you hit with status effects, or somebody is hitting you in the head with concussion, getting that, that 15% weapon damage there, or creeping death, or the one that opportunistic, that somebody's tagging you with shotguns, and they're getting opportunistic buffs, or they're using sledgehammer because they're hitting you with the fire grenades. All the damage is on the front end, so you're getting additive and multiplicative damage if you're looking to make a build based on PvP. Look at things that give you the damage on the front end versus the back end. In PvE, look at back end over front end, like or up front, because back end is a long term situation where you're getting it consistently procced, you're consistently getting kills because it's a buildup. Once that thing happens, like in legendaries, that buildup happens, the next thing you know, you're mowing through NPCs because you're consistently proccing all these bulk additive and multiplicative damage that ends up hitting you for like 125 and 30, 135 additional weapon damage. The chameleon is not a great weapon for PvP because the moment you die, that talent is gone. It is a huge buildup and it's a low base damage gun, and the buildup is so slow. By the time you actually get it, you're dead already, and you're back to the checkpoint. And next thing you know, you're trying your best to get the build up again. Recently people have shown that the memento, you going into like the dark zone, and you go into these landmarks and get the kills, but don't pick up the trophies. They're running around getting the kills, but they're leaving the trophies alone. They're getting to the point to where they're getting the buff, and but they still have a bunch of trophies on the ground. And then when they run across a rogue agent or they want to go rogue, then that's when they initiate the 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 trophies in the middle of the combat. So they're constantly getting bonus armor, constantly getting that additional weapon damage and armor regen and skill efficiency. Let's see. The ninja bike is good just because, well, I don't have that in my stash, because it allows you to take one gear set and, like, say if you want to run strikers with, you know two, with the, let's just say you want to run strikers with Walker Harris. Walker Harris, the two piece gives you weapon damage and damage to armor, right? While the Fenris gives you assault rifle damage and you get that additional reload speed. Well, you put on the Ninja Bike Bag, now you're rocking a four-piece striker with two-piece Walker and Harris and two-piece Fenris. Or if you want to switch it to, I'm trying my best to think about different combinations of things that, for you new players. Sorry, my controller was dying. If you want to run it with additional weapon handling with the contracted glove, or you want to run something like you want status effect and armor regen, boom. As soon as I put it on, the Ninja Bike Bag applies. Grupo gives you explosive damage and crit hit damage. This one gives you crit damage and SMG damage if you want to run AR and SMG. That's a huge bonus. Look at that. Now you have the reload speed on top of the strikers, on top of the SMG damage. So if you want to run it that way, boom. Now both of my primary and secondary weapon all have a bonus. Me personally, for like my backup, when I go into PvP, I like to run the backup boomstick because now I have three different weapon archetypes: AR, SMG, and a shotgun. And the backup boomstick does a tremendous amount of damage. The whole point behind making your builds is to think about what benefits you in the situation. It's always going to be in the situation. Do not go into PvP not knowing the situation. If you can, that YouTube is a great source. Go through and look at how people are playing the dark zone and what is the best areas to run, when to run it, and how to run it. and then go into looking into the build and saying, do I like to go in there solo? Do I like to go in there with groups? If you go in with groups, you have to expect the fact that your server may get populated and people will flag up on groups. People flag up on solo players, but the problem is they look at what is that solo player running and how quickly can I take them out if I flag up. Flagging up means going rogue. So going in there and understanding the whole premise behind that experience is a huge bonus. But let's go back to, just like saying the bill making. Most people run it. If you want to run skills, I got to hand it you with tech support and all this good stuff because skills increase, skill kills increase the total damage, and I run that one with where is it? Yeah, with skilled, right? Run skilled with let me show you. Skilled is like for perfectly skilled. Skill kills have a 30% chance to reset the skills. If you run that with like the multiple seeker mines, what'll happen is you will never run out of seeker mines. It's crazy because they're just consistently procking and you're constantly throwing them. That's a huge suppression factor in PvE. In PvP, not so much. Um, and if you like to run it solo, you have to take into account certain situations like uh, if you are trying to make a build, and this is a huge thing that I need a lot of the new players to understand, is that don't go off of these cookie cutter builds you see on YouTube. Don't look at mine and just say, oh, well, I'm gonna make it exactly like that. No, because I'm always going into the lab trying to figure out how can I make this build much better than I previously did it. So if you're making a build like I run my strikers in PvE and PvP just like this. Prior to the newest updates, I used to run this strikers build just like I'm gonna show you right now. I'll put on a companion and then I'll put on I want to say it was contractors, the Fox Prayer knee pads, and I'll run three-piece strikers with this companion backpack with the spotter and the Fox Prayer knee pads. Now you're wondering why, and I'll run it with I used to have it with the FAMAS, and you're like, why would you run three-piece strikers over four, and when you're missing the damage buff? Well, remember I told you there's a big difference between upfront damage and back end damage. With the strikers, the only reason why I ran three-piece versus four is for the rate of fire. Now, you're saying, but you're missing the bonus damage. Well, I'm getting my 30% weapon damage and I'm getting the damage from spotter. I would have my drone, so therefore when I throw my drone up, boom. Oh God, I wish we had the opportunity to slap the piss out of these NPCs that knock you out of your menu. Like that's ridiculous. Like I just want that one button to press and just slap this dude one time, make him stagger, and then have him say, "I'm sorry." That was ridiculous. Now, why run three piece over four in PvP? Well, remember I said up front and back end. That's a huge difference. In Division One, way back in the day, there was this huge issue with an RPM glitch. It wasn't a DPS glitch, it was an RPM glitch. Somehow or another people would take this, go into the inventory, the loadout, save the strikers, and then swap it out and put on a red piece, go back into that loadout, and then resave that same loadout. But the problem was it would stack the RPMs every single time because they changed out one piece here and there to the point to where their RPMs would be like this one was 1035, the RPM was like 3000. And if you don't remember, I said it again, same reason why the Ouroboros is king right now. RPMs is completely different from DPS, but it's exactly the same because DPS stands for damage per second. So if you're doing 83.2k damage and your RPM is 3,000, you're doing 83.2 damage on that per second more than the other person. So the faster you could shoot, the more damage you did. And they were shredding people in Division One. So when Division Two came around and they dropped the strikers, literally the moment they dropped the strikers, I put this gear to this build together because I knew that because my gun with three-piece strikers would have an additional RPM. I don't need to run the four-piece to get the back end weapon damage because nobody was competing with that rapid rate of fire. So that was my DZ and my conflict build for the longest time. And then some YouTuber came out and posted their video, series lyric just like that. And next thing you know, everybody was running three piece striker. It didn't matter though because I wasn't dropping that build. I would run it with this that one with opportunistic, and then I run it with the at the time it was the Eagle Bear. And I swear to God, I promise you, I was wrecking things. But that's how you got to look at it when these gear sets come about. Soon as one drop, how can I look at that and take full advantage of it? The people who are running it in groups, they're dropping the Coyotes mask and they're running three Coyotes masks because that stuff, those talents stack. You know, if you're running a group against a group of threes and you're wondering why they're hitting so hard, is because they're getting 25% crit damage from one Coyotes mask and another Coyotes mask given. So that's 50% critical hit damage if you're within 15 meters. If you're mid range, they're getting crit damage and crit chance. If you're long distance, they're getting a higher crit chance on top of what their already base crit chance and crit damage is. See, mine is 48 and 132. Uh, but you have to look at these situations and go, what's best for me in the gameplay that I plan on doing. When I run capital building on legendary and I make it to the capital room or where the Senate room, I put on Foundry Bulwark with um, this Bellstone Armory backpack, four piece Foundry Bulwark, and uh, an unbreakable chest piece, and then I run up on the mezzanine of the Senate room, and I stay there, and I just hit people. I hit the NPCs with the Scorpio. You know, hit them with the Scorpio, while and so I got all the aggro going on, drones coming at me and everything, but I'm constantly getting heals. I put my shield on, my big foundry my big shield, the bulwark shield, and I'm staying up while my other team is throwing out the skills and doing whatever. You have to know when you're looking at the gear set what's best for you and what's best for the talent. So when you're going into the lab, always, I'm going the wrong direction. Go into your stash and figure out, look at the gear set versus the brand set and say which one is most beneficial. Like, can a status effect help my team out? Am I a sniper, so is perfect headhunter something that I want? Do I want to run perfect spotter? And when I'm looking at them, do I want to sacrifice uh, weapon damage? Like in the gear set, is this the perfect version better than the regular version? Like the perfect spotter to me for the Uzani Getica, is it better than just running a regular Fenris where I get weapon damage and I get the assault rifle damage, or do I need armor and the weapon damage and skill damage? Does unbreakable, is it beneficial? You know, do I want to do with skill, hay skill, tier, and magazine size? Is this something that I feel like I should have? If you're not running and you don't want to be limited to a long underbarrel and spotter, I think I'm starting to run mines now. I'm starting to. I've been running it with obliterate because I like to land my shots to get my bonus weapon damage. And with obliterate, there is nothing that can take away from you getting that additional weapon damage because you have to land your shots unless you're running PvP where they hit you with a skill and they remove your ability to aim down your sight. And if they eliminate your ADS, then they eliminate your ability to land your shots. And therefore, when running situations like that, is a DPS, ADS uh, weapon damage build beneficial if you're never ADSing? And then the answer is no, because you can't get your shots off. Here we go with focus. I had a friend that literally loves focus. That's all he runs, and I'm not gonna lie, he melts through NPCs. Am I always getting bonus armor? If I'm getting bonus armor, then intimidate is definitely for you because you get that 4% weapon damage. And it stacks up to 9 times. That's 36% weapon damage, people. That's crazy. I mean, like I said, you have to know whether or not you get the stacks. Like I said, in that situation, is it better to run uh, Adrenaline Rush, or is it better to run the Memento, or the Hunter's Fear, or the Heartbreakers? That is a huge thing right there. In my opinion, I, it's up in the air. Or should I run double companion? But if you're running double companion, like you're getting 20 plus, that's 35%. But you're also getting status effect, shock resistance, and But I got it in my inventory, but I seriously, I do not run that. It's stupid. Um, I tried a high health build, so I put together one with, I was honestly don't even know why I'm still holding on to that, but it's there. It's the perfect unbreakable, something that you want to run. Now, here's the clincher. Here is the kicker. I meant to say clinch or kicker as I was thinking it, but you heard it. It came out as clincher. When you're making these builds, it is highly, highly, highly important to understand this concept. When I'm making my build with all the the brand sets with these immaculate talents, right? But I also want to run a gear set like Striker. The question is, and this is something that people have to
Agent in
understand.
need of backup.
Is it more beneficial to run the chest piece and backpack talent over a gear set talent or over a brand set talent? Is the gear set talent more beneficial on the chest piece and the backpack, or is it more beneficial just to have the backpack over something else like the chest piece? Case in point, if I run my favorite PVE build is Negotiator's Dilemma. If I'm running Negotiator's Dilemma, right, and I put this together, I understand that um, its thing is I can mark enemies. The ones that I hit, they get a mark. And each mark, when you critically hit the marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt. Whenever the marked enemy dies, you get a 2% critical hit damage stacking up to 20 times. So that gives you literally 40% more additional critical hit damage. Now, that is running a four-piece Negotiator's Dilemma. The question is, I'm also getting with my companion the 15% weapon damage. I'm also getting the 15% from the spotter. Now, like I said, the question is, in running that particular build, is the backpack or the chest piece more less beneficial? Is it less helpful? So I looked into it, and I'm going. Let's see if I put on like the Coyotes mask. I'm just gonna go with Catharsis just because whatever. Um, and then I put on chest piece, I mean backpack, and then I put. You see, I don't have. There it is. And I put on the chest piece, right? And I put on the Fenris, and I calculate. Well, I just very briefly look at what I'm getting over the chest piece and backpack for the brand set. Well, in this gear set, if I look at the chest piece says whenever you mark an enemy, I'm looking at the wrong one. So the target rich environment, that's the chest piece for the gear set talent. It increases the hostile negotiators mark from 3 to 5%, right? So instead of marking three enemies, I get to mark five. That means that the damage that I'm putting out on those are shared, 60% more shared. 60% damage is shared between five enemies. So if I'm doing, whatever damage I'm doing that additional damage to two other enemies. So that's a huge difference, but is it better than running a, is it better than running something that gives me the upfront damage like Obliterate does? And in my opinion, that answer is no, because there's no guarantee that I'm gonna always have 5 enemies marked. 3 is that sweet spot. So I said no. I'd rather have to mark 3 enemies and get 25% weapon damage at the same time, or the build up to 25%. So then I still need my 4 piece, right? So now I look at the backpack. The backpack for critical measure is increases hostile negotiated damage to additional marked enemies from 60% to 100%. That means that for the 3 that I do have marked, I go from 60% shared damage or distributive damage to 100%. That means that all the damage that I'm doing on one NPC is shared against across 3 at 100% versus the 60%. So that means that if I'm shooting one person, 3 people are doing the damage versus running just a companion and getting, the 60% damage of 3 of them. One person is getting 100% while 2 others are getting 60% damage. That's fine and all, but at the same time, I'd rather have 100% damage go across 3, which if you add it up, that's 300% damage being done versus doing 100% damage on one and 160% on the other two, equilibrating to 220% damage being done. Now, in my opinion, the negotiator's backpack is a must, a got to have just based on that. Did a video months ago saying, hey, when you're running your Heartbreaker gear set, the chest piece and the backpack is a must. It tops all other damage that can be done on anything else other than what you have. Like, I'm sorry, let me clarify. It outperforms just the regular 4 piece on the mask, glove, knee pad, and holster, uh, and running any other chest piece or backpack talent from a brand set. Like if you're running, let's see, if you run a Fenris Memento, right,
Could use some more
and
crafting
you
materials.
run it
I
like
really
this.
should make myself a nice comfy chair.
And I actually did a test on that, and I showed it in my video that this does not outperform running the chest piece and backpack because the bonus armor is limited and the weapon damage is decreased. If you run it with the Catharsis or even the Coyote's mask, and you run, I'm just gonna go to contractors, and then you run it this way. This outperforms the chest, just the regular 4 piece without the chest piece and backpack because the the Heartstopper code says increase the bonus armor gain per stack for the Heartstick from 1% to 2%. So that means that you're getting 2% bonus armor for every post enemy that you hit over gaining 1% bonus armor. And then the max BPMs increase the max stacks from 50 to 100, right? So that means that you're getting uh, the 100 stacks, and the stacks is 1% weapon damage to post enemy, right? Up to 50 stacks, right? So this go round, it is 100 stacks. So you're getting an insane amount of bonus armor and weapon damage with the chest piece and backpack, which I'm gonna try to demonstrate right here. And if you want to, you can go back and look at my old video. It definitely does clarify uh, what looks more beneficial. Just like with the strikers piece, is it better to run the chest piece over the backpack, the chest piece and backpack over running something else? And honestly, in my opinion, it depends on the situation. That is that no, I want it to be invulnerable. All right, so boom, put that on. getting my headshots, and the survivability based solely off of your bonus armor gain right here is much, much, much better than running it any other way. Let's see, I'll go with the Heartbreaker, go with Companion, go with Obliterate. That is much, much better. I'm sorry, the other way is much, much better than this way because that is the end of my stacks right there. You want to say, oh, well, look at the weapon damage you're doing. Look, I'm going to say it again. If you're not up to get them shots, you're not making the shots. You know what I mean? Like, that bonus armor does not last. So if you want to benefit, run it full blue with maybe one or two reds and run it with the chest piece and backpack. Same way with the strikers. If you're running the strikers, is it better to run strikers with the backpack or the chest piece? If you ask me in the incursion, it has been shown that the chest piece and backpack is a must because it does insane amount of damage. But in PV PvP, in my honest opinion, running strikers with the obliterate, or did I already have that on? Yeah, I already had it on. Running strikers with obliterate and whatever backpack talents you want to run, it doesn't matter. Um, Running it this way is much, much more beneficial because your stacks come fast and they don't go away as easy. That is that is much more beneficial. If you watch my Umbra Initiative bill, the chest piece and backpack, in my opinion, is much more beneficial in PvE versus non-chest piece backpack. Negotiation Dilemma backpack is much, much better than any other thing that you can put on it. And I'm not saying it's not viable. I'm just saying it's much better. With the hardwire, that's a toss-up. Hardwire, your positive reinforcement or your feedback loop, it gets
Nice
back a
coffee.
whole lot more faster with the it gets back a lot faster with the backpack and the chest piece. So in my opinion, if you look at my loadout, you'll see I have one laid out just like that. That is crazy good because you are always having it proc. And I run it with the chem launcher because as soon as I throw out my secret mine and it goes off, I drop a heal on me or any of my teammates, and they get crazy amounts of heal, and I get my secret mines back. Uh, let's see. See, I got the Umbra. I think that that is the extent of my builds there. 'Cause that's all I run. Um, I can't think of any other that. See, I got a Hunter's Fury gear set, but I really truly don't run it. True Patriot. That's the kicker. That True Patriot I loved back in the day because the amount of heals you got from shooting somebody was good. That is the one gear set that I will say that the chest piece and backpack talent are not beneficial over the non chest piece and backpack. Because the cycle of the full flag is sped up, and honestly, that does that really make a difference because the NPCs are literally heavy armored anyway, so they're gonna get full flags eventually. So that is not more beneficial over the others. For the future initiative, it's up to you. Honestly, I run it with the chest piece and the backpack just because you get that huge, huge radius on your healer hive. But you don't have to run it because sometimes the the skills on some of the chest piece and backpacks are way better. But that's just me. But for you new players, always when you're going in, always understand, go to your specializations uh, once you reach level 40 and figure out what in here do I enjoy over other one. Like you get the grenade 10% total ammo. Generate 10% total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. That helps for somebody who has a very small, so a high rate of fire gun, you're helping them generate more ammo. Every six, so every minute they're getting 10% total ammo capacity, right? This one rate of fire is increased by 5% on kill. You get your increase that like the Banshee pulse. If you want to confuse somebody, that's also beneficial with the Hunter's Fury. Know which AR or which weapon you use most on. That's what you want to spec into. If you like to play with tactician or the technician class because you want that additional skill tier, that's amazing. If you're doing PvP, people use the firewall specialization just because you get that 200% bonus armor. So they do what they call a medkit push. Do you when I run in the incursion, I always run with survivalists. Do you want to be a sharpshooter? Do you want to use attack 50 more over anything? Do you want headshot damage? Go in and figure out what these things do, and then go into your stash and figure out what weapon is going to be more beneficial for me. Sometimes the capacitor is good. The Lady Death I don't use, or Boris is great. Some people are raid the chatterbox. I don't use a blue screen. The Bullet King is decent. The Iron Long is good. The Dread Edict is. These two are, well, these three, the terrible sniper rifles in my opinion. But I used to love the Mantis because in PvP it was an automatic pulse. If you want to know what somebody is, literally swap the secondary, put on the Mantis, aim, and then it will highlight their heads, and so you know exactly where they are. But they changed that, so you can't do that anymore. Uh, the Merciless, it used to be a great gun for secondary because it used to give you explosive bullets on your primary weapon. Go through, figure out which AR, SMG, LMG, shotgun. Know which weapon type you want to use. Never go off of the meta. Uh, here is I'm gonna end this video because I think we're heading at 50 minutes already. I didn't want to make it this long. I really wanted to make it short, but then I realized that there's so much that you have to understand. So here's a caveat: if you're trying to figure out how to go into the lab, make a build. What build is better for whatever thing? Always, 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 and I swear this has to be the biggest, most important tidbit of information I can give you. Never look at somebody in YouTube and say, "Oh, they clapped cheeks with that bill. They smashed somebody with this bill. This bill had, you know, that's what I'm looking for." Go into the lab, make that exact same bill, go into the dark zone, and you get your cheeks clapped. And then you say, "Your bill sucked. I can't believe you did it. And I can't believe that you put it out there. I put the bill together the way you did, and then I watched you go into the shooting range and put out massive amounts of damage. And then I went out into the open world or I went into PvP and it did nothing like that." People, when you're watching these videos, I need y'all to look right down there at the HUD. I got two things going on. That was something from my uh, skill tree on my specialization and the proc from strikers. Those things pop up randomly. If you watch the people who are going into the PvP or they're going into the dark zone or they're coming into the shooting range and they got like 6 to 8 of those things going on, is because they're in there with a group and they're getting additional buffs. So don't expect those same buffs to pop up just because you put together the exact same build. They got additional buffs going on. You have to understand what your build does and how it works. So if you put that build together and you had no idea how to understand it, you just wanted to do exactly what they did, you're not gonna get it. Secondly, if they come into the shooting range and they're sitting here going, "Look at that! Oh, I got 2 million, like right there. I got 2 million, 2.8 million damage off a third of a clip from the Eagle Bearer." People, this is literally the shooting range. The shooting range is for you to go in and get an idea of get, what you may get in the open world. It is not a guarantee because not every shot is a critical hit. Because remember, this is right up close. They are literally sitting here at 5 meters shooting somebody. And if you look at your weapon, it gives you right underneath your talents weapon handling, right? Accuracy, stability, and then damage drop off. That thing drops off between what is that? I'm going to say it's 50 and 75. At 75 meters, my damage goes. I can't even tell what the range on it is. Is that 0 from 100 from on the y-axis? I don't know. Either way it go, let's just go. It goes from at 5 meters, I'm at like 90% weapon damage, but then at 75 meters, I'm only doing 5% of that weapon damage. If you look at the y-axis and the x-axis, that damage drop off is huge. So when you go out there and you're doing PvP and you're shooting somebody from way over here, the damage numbers would not be the same as right here. Or you're going out in the PvE and you're doing the exact same thing, but you only got your buffs going on. Remember, you only have your buffs going on. So the damage numbers will never be the same as what you see somebody put on YouTube. Never trust anybody who comes in here and displays how hard they hit here in the shooting range, and then they don't go out into the open world and show you exactly how it does. Never and usually, honestly, never trust anybody who is actually in a group in the shooting range. Like that is 100%. Never ever trust anybody who is showing you the damage numbers in a group in the shooting range. Because what you should do in a group is go out there in the open world because the damage that you do dealt to the PV to the NPCs is actually scaled. They're much harder, so the damage you're doing is completely different. That's my tangents right there. Is that uh, the YouTubers or the Twitchers or whoever it is, they aren't telling you that the damage that they're showing you, you know, here in the shooting range is completely different than what's going to happen in the open world because you're going to miss a shot. People are chicken dancing and strafing, or the NPCs are taking cover faster than you can do, or you're aiming at one and another one is shooting you from behind, making your screen rock. So you're sitting there doing like this. Um, so never ever trust somebody who shows you a build and then comes down here in the shooting range and said, "Look at that! Oh, I got 28 million damage from one clip." And then they don't go out here in the open world or in PvP and show you what that build looks like in situation. That's a purely uh, non in situ uh, what's the word I'm trying. That's a non in situational example, and it's kind of half assing uh, that their viewers because you need to know exactly what it looks like out here. I'm just trying to show you that when you're making your builds, go out there and test them. Put them together. Go out there and test it. The best thing to do is put it on heroic. You don't have to do every single uh, directive, but go out there, run into a red control point, and then put some damage on somebody. Let's see, how many minutes do I have on this? Nah, I'm running out of time. But you know, whenever I put together a bill, I'll either go into conflict and show you what it looks like in conflict, or I'll go out and I will run a control point. But what I do it every single time is I do it by myself. I give you what it looks like as a solo. If you want to see what it looks like in a legendary, I got legendary builds up there. I can show you exactly what they look like when you're in a 4-man squad in a legendary, which is the hardest content. But my HUD is never overpopulated with stuff with procs that I myself do not have. So take what you can. You new players, trust me, come in, learn your gear set,
Nice
know
to
what you
see you.
can and cannot craft. That'll help you go out and realize whether it's a waste of time or whether you should go out here and look at the targeted loot and go and get what you need and then come back in here and try to craft a little bit. Uh, but that is my tangent for today. Also, you can, like I said, go into tinkering, optimize, and expertise, and this, that, and the third. If you can, here's a very quick deal. Very quick deal. If you want to get to 25 really fast, that's where I am right now. Run a bunch of control points. Like run all the control points that you can. Run as high as you can. Break down everything. Don't collect. and then come right back here to her, go into your expertise, right? And where it says donate junk, go into something, right? And go into your donate library, go all the way down to printer filament. Printer filament is the cheapest one, and then expertise it out that way. Anything that you don't have, like, and I suggest you do this with just your skills and your specialization. Everything else, and just go through your skills and your specialization, and use just the printer filaments on those. The easiest thing to knock out. Then put on 6 pieces of whatever these are right here. Run a bunch of control points, and you'll expertise them out really. You'll make them proficient real fast. Once you get it proficient, then you are up to your highest expertise level. The name weapons that you don't have or won't have or ever get. Go through, click on them, uh, go into donate material, and go to your printer filament and run it up to 9. But before you know it, you'll be at expertise. As that is the fastest way. I made it all the way to, at the time, I think it was 20 or 22, whatever it was in the very beginning. I made it in a week off of that. Just donating printer filament. It's a very quick process. If you want to do it, and you know, go over to this person right here, buy a couple of these mods, break the mods down, and you get printer filament. Or you use your watch, donate into the printer filament from your watch. But if you got any questions, concerns,
Anything
whatever,
special?
hit me up in my comment section. I'll do my best to respond to you. But other than that, this is your boy Trade A381 and his assistant in the build videos. Anaya, say what's going on. How you doing, beautiful? It's your boy Trade A381. Like I always say, get your shade rank up.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Signing out.